So we're back with this condenser fan motor on this train unit. I got the OEM motor because the unit's 25 years old, but OEM is the only thing that's going to fit in here. Those rescue motors, there's no way to mount those back in here. So we want to put the right motor back in this one, unfortunately. And it calls for a 7.5 capacitor. Typically when I put a motor in, I always replace the capacitor with it. This is a dual capacitor, so we'll stick another dual run, whatever it is for the compressor, by 7.5 capacitor in there and work on that. And I gotta tell you, it's eclipse day. I wasn't sure if I was going to do this in one video or split it up to 2 parts. I haven't made up my mind yet, so if I ended up splitting it into 2 parts, go back and watch part 1. That was the diagnosis, and then this is the follow-up. So, or maybe I'll end up joining them together and making one long video. I just don't want to make a long video because a lot of people out there have a short attention span, and they just I don't know, it's the way people are these days. And oh, by the way, on this date, April 8th, 1975, Aerosmith released Toys in the Attic. A little bit of funny trivia there for you. It is eclipse day, and where I'm at in North Carolina, it's about 3 for the totality, about 3 to 3:15 this afternoon. It is 10 after 1, so I don't think we'll be here. Maybe as it starts to dim, we'll see some of that. I don't know. I'm sure all the snowflakes are getting their cases of water and their vitamin juice and snacks and hiding in the basement somewhere because they think the world's coming to an end. But it is eclipse day, so we'll see how that works out. Sure, this breaker, well, I'm just gonna check it with my meter, make sure my power is off, figure out which one of these capacitors this thing is. I know when I checked it earlier, it was reading 50 or so on the hermetic side. Okay, so our power is still off. So that's the first thing I want to look at. Let me get these wires off first. Make sure we get the right capacitor to put back on here. And it's just standard practice is to put a capacitor on with a new motor. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. Let's see what size this thing is. If I can read it. Of course I cannot. So maybe when I get the top off, the sticker on the compressor will tell me what size capacitor I need. I know I need a 7.5 for the motor. I don't know if this is a 7.5 or not, but it was reading 55 earlier. I don't know if it's a 55 7.5 or what. So I'll check the sticker on the compressor and then we'll see what size that is, and then I'll test this on the fan side and see what size we're getting. Just unhook all the wires from it temporarily. And let's test it real quick. And then we'll get the top of this unit off and get this motor swapped out. Puller or no puller? That's the original motor. It's been on this unit for 25 years. I'm assuming, because the shaft on it is rusted pretty good from what I can see on this side. So we'll see if we need a puller or not. I have one. Don't have a lot of experience with it. Let's see. So I'm reading 5 on this, and I can't tell what size this thing is. I'm reading 5 on the fan. And this thing's marred up so much. So I can see 440, 370 on it. And there's somebody calling me. Yeah, it's a 55 by, and I can't, maybe if I take a picture of that, and zoom in on it. Maybe I can get a little bit better idea of what I'm looking at here. Trying to make it out. Huh. Now let's see, this capacitor, if you look right there, and there's somebody calling me again, it says 55 by 5. The new motor says 7.5. Let's see what the old motor says on it. Somebody may have somewhere along the lines put the wrong capacitor in this thing, I don't know. No, it's a 5. But the new motor's a 7.5, so we'll get that figured out. Alright, so we got the top of it off. And we'll see what we can do. This is my deep well, 11/32. So let's grab that. And I don't want to put it on my impact because I don't want to damage anything. I don't want to, if these things are rusted real bad, I don't want to wring one off and break it. And then my nut be stuck inside of a broken off screw, because I don't know that this new motor comes with new nuts. I haven't opened it up yet. But I'm going to squirt them a little bit. I'm going to let that sit. And while I let that sit, maybe I got lucky on this one, I don't know. That thing's rusted in there good. And the shaft is rusted real good. Back there on the back. And they squirt a little bit back there. Let that sit. I'm not going to get any sandpaper on this. So we'll let that sit for a second. Get our lock screw out on this thing. Turn it a couple more times. It's definitely not going to come right out on its own. There we go. I'm going to set this over here because I do not want to lose that. Just squirt a little bit in here. And we'll let that sit. Let's see what we can do here. Channel locks. Right here. Maybe. Get this thing to work its way free. And there we go. It is off. So, you know, if it had been longer, obviously, there would have been some rust to deal with. Nothing I'd have needed a puller for. But anyway, to each his own. So now we'll get this motor out of here. Hopefully these are going to be loose. I'm going to be easy with them because I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to break the threaded screw off with the nut and still on it. And then, I mean, I think I have some extra screws or nuts for these fan motors if I need them. But I always like to reuse the ones I take off. That way I always have extra ones. In case I drop one and there's no way to find it, or it's in the leaves of a pine straw. And there's our motor. Open. If this one has extra screws or nuts in it, I'll use those, and I'll keep these old ones as spares. I do not believe, from what I can see, nope, no extra screws. We are. Here's this box. And I want to mount this with my wire harness over here, because that's where my wires go through for my support. Bracket in there that'll grab that liquid tight, or that seal tight around those wires. I don't want to lose that. Get our screws back on here. And that's why I'm thinking maybe we'll have a two-part video, because I'm not editing the actual motor replacement part for all the super snowflake techs out there. I think because you make an edit, you made a mistake and you took 2 hours to fix it. And then you recorded all the good new stuff and left out the bad, so. I'm gonna do it in real time. All right. Get that done. Stick that back in there because I'm finished with that. Put my bits back on. I do that immediately when I'm finished, so I don't lose anything and leave it laying around. You get tired of buying lost stuff. So now, let's get our wires inside of our little tube there. I may end up having to add a zip tie to that. I don't know if it'll fit around that little place right there or not. I don't know if the end of this thing will fit around that and seal. It might. We'll find out. These wires in here. And no, it doesn't. I was hoping it would slide over the top of that and make a seal, but I guess it doesn't. So I'm gonna put a zip tie. Well, it's got that clip. Let's see how well this clip works. clip. Under there. There we go. So that clips right back there. And it should snap right over the top of that pipe. There we go. And I can slide that back. And now we need to just get the top back on the unit. Oh, fan blade. Yeah. Might help if you have a condenser fan blade on your condenser fan, right? Put that right back in the same place where the old one was. Look for all the super bits. I want to measure something. Let's see. Where's the old motor? So, this piece of paper, right about there, right about there. So this shaft is actually the same length as the one that came off. So I just need to put it about the same place that it was on the old shaft on the new shaft. Which is about right there. Nice and snug. Good to go. Now I'll be right back. Let me go check on that capacitor. Alright, so got the top back on the thing. No, I didn't record all that. Just didn't. But I'm going to show you something you got to be careful of. No, I didn't make the mistake. I thought about it first. First of all, the capacitor, it's a 55 by 5 was in here. The old motor called for a 5. The new one calls for 7.5. I don't have a 55 by 7.5, so I put the 55 back in, and then I've just added a separate 7.5 right there for the fan motor. The sticker was faded. Couldn't confirm the capacitor without actually calling the supplier, getting the model and serial number on the unit, and they confirmed the 55 on the compressor. So I added a separate 7.5 capacitor right here. Now, if you notice the inside of this unit, that coil, like most coils are, this one's a square. Most of the newer trains are round. These are square kind of type coils. A little bit rounded on the corners over here, but it sits right up against this panel right here. So you've got to be careful when you're running screws through here, because if you look right up in there, you see how close that coil is right there to the back of this electrical panel. So if you go in there trying to run a 3/4 inch self tapper in there and you hit one of those tubes and you bust the coil, then you're shit out of luck, because they don't make this coil anymore, and now you just bought your homeowner a new system. So pay attention to what you're doing. I had to use short 1/4 inch tap screws. Kind of popped a pre-hole there first without getting too far in it, and then once I got the 2 holes in, I got the strap around the capacitor, and then I took a nut driver and eased those screws in. There's one back here. Eased those screws in until I got them tight and snug, because I don't want to run in here with an impact and then pop a hole in the condenser coil. So always, before you start running holes through these panels, there's a bee just came from somewhere. Look back here, make sure you got nothing behind it you're going to pop a hole in, and then you're going to be buying a condenser coil. So anyway, got our top back on, capacitor for the compressor back in, our new capacitor here for our fan motor. Now let's go turn this breaker on. Actually, it may already be on. Let me double check that. So the thermostat is not calling yet. I didn't want to do that until I was sure this thing was going to run. So with all that said, let's push the contactor in now and see what happens. So yeah, fan motor, internal short. Basically it's going to be an internal short inside the motor. It wasn't shorted to ground, it was just shorted internally, and it is what it is. So he opted for a new fan motor. He's going to try to squeeze some more time out of this thing. His choice. It's 25 years old, to be honest. A fan motor, compared to spending a bunch of money on a new system these days that you'll probably be putting a new coil in 2 years, probably not a bad decision. So anyway, guys, that's it. Appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, and let me get up out of here before this eclipse happens. No eclipse yet. Nothing I ain't looking directly at it, but yeah, you guys enjoy the clips, and all you snowflakes in the basement, eat you a cookie.